The Last Scion. Chapter 1. Ordinary Days. Opening scene. Fade in from black. The city was quiet in that heavy late-night way, the hum of distant traffic blending with the faint clink of bottles from a far-off alley. Neon signs cast their soft glow over wet pavement, painting the world in streaks of red and gold. Somewhere above, the stars burned unseen behind a thin veil of city haze. Ethan Vale sat alone in his corner booth at the cafe, his booth, the same seat he had claimed every night after work for the last 3 years. A chipped mug of coffee steamed in front of him, the scent familiar and grounding. The warmth in his hands was almost ritual. Everything about his life was ritual. Same route to work. Same polite nod to the same crossing guard, same desk, same paperwork, same sigh of relief when the day was over. To anyone else, Ethan was just another face in the crowd. 28 years old, average height, brown hair in a state of perpetual could've, brushed it, and a wardrobe consisting almost entirely of hoodies and jeans. He wasn't remarkable, and he was fine with that. The world was loud enough without him trying to add to it. Visual, close-up of Ethan's eyes, tired but calm. But that night, something felt different. It was subtle at first, like a low note in a song you can't quite hear but somehow feel. A kind of pull. He glanced out the cafe's window. The street beyond was empty, just a flicker of neon from a 24-hour laundromat across the road. But then he saw it. Sound cue. Distant, deep hum begins. A light, faint, too far and too steady to be a plane, too defined to be a star. It pulsed, once, twice, in a rhythm that felt deliberate. Ethan leaned closer to the glass, squinting. The light seemed to move, not across the sky like a satellite, but toward him. He reached into his pocket for his phone, muttering under his breath. "If this is some weather balloon thing, I swear." The camera app loaded, but the moment he tried to focus, the feed glitched. The image froze, warped, skipped frames. The light grew sharper. Then, without warning, 2 more lights appeared beside it, the 3 aligning in a perfect equilateral triangle. The hum in the air deepened, resonating in his chest. His breath caught. The cafe around him seemed to fade into silence. The lights brightened until they filled his vision. And then the world vanished. Visual shift. City dissolves into starlit void. One moment he was in a booth surrounded by the smell of coffee and the faint whir of the espresso machine. The next, nothing but stars. Endless, infinite stars, brighter and closer than he had ever seen them. Below him, or maybe above, there was no up or down here. Massive structures hung in the void. They weren't ships, not in any human sense. They were too large, too complex, stretching miles into the darkness like ancient temples of metal and stone. He thought he saw movement, things swimming between them, too far to comprehend. Colors danced across the black like rivers of light, blues, greens, and deep purples that seemed alive. Ethan's pulse pounded in his ears. His mind screamed at him to make sense of it, to put the moment into words his brain could understand. But there were no words. He blinked, and it was gone. Visual snap, back to the cafe, sound of coffee machine returns. He was back in his booth, hands clenched around his coffee mug, breath ragged. The street was outside again. The neon laundromat flickered as if nothing had happened. But Ethan knew better. Something had happened, and deep down, in the quiet place where fear and curiosity are one and the same, he knew it had only just begun.